Okay, looks like we're finally live. Finally live and connected on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. Great to see you. I made a little oopsie. Apologize for that. I was saying, and I put the link to Discord in the chat. Join Discord if you're not already here. If you're watching after the fact, please consider joining and being part of the conversation. There's a spot in there for recommendations for me under Shagsworth Topics. It's under the Shagsworth Media Group. And you can basically recommend things for me to check out and comment on. And I can decide, oh, maybe I'll do a video on it. Maybe we'll do a live stream on it. Sometimes I'll be late on stuff. I just don't always get to topics. I don't always know where to find them. I know where interesting stuff is. A lot of times you guys have a finger on the pulse way before I do. Sometimes not. Sometimes I get ahead of things. So that being said, one of my mods threw in the article regarding, I mean, it's been in the news. Everyone's had their say in it. It's nothing new at this point. Like, again, everyone's talked about it. But since we're doing what we're doing, we're going to have our say. It's, is it? No, go to that one. Sure, I'm in the right. Go to this one. Oh yeah, look at that. So here we have PlayStation to shut down new game Concord 2 weeks after launch. Will refund the players. This was funny because I actually enjoyed the game. And so everyone was making fun and clown on this game. And then I went and bought it because one of my friends said basically that Shags, you would like this game. You know, you would like this hero shooter. You like Overwatch, you like Destiny. It's some sort of amalgamation of the two. So, you know, laughed it off, whatever. And then like the next day, or like maybe 2 days after that, I went and I bought it. And it was $40. Went and bought it. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the gameplay. And actually, you know what? Real quick, I'm going to go back to the big one. I actually enjoyed the game, you know, overall. You say what you want. I think one of the big problems with this game was that it was largely the wrong time. I think people got stuck on the whole woke thing. They got stuck on the pronouns thing. But at its core, this game offered actually some decent gameplay, some original characters, some fun abilities, some overpowered than others. You know, the usual hero shooter kind of trash. Trash talk. So I enjoyed it. But the game peaked not even at 1,000 players in its opening day and a couple days after. So they made the hard decision, essentially, to shut the game down. The servers are going offline tomorrow, and they are offering refunds immediately, effective like 2 days ago. That's where we're at. Pause. I want to say, hey, what's going on, everyone? LG's here. There's a little oopsie. Disparity, good to see you, man. He says, what's funny, out of all the discourse, Shags is the only person who actually gave a real opinion. Hey, man, I appreciate it. I'm going to expound on it a little bit. King says, the issue was that it was a mid-game and poor marketing, and yeah, nobody wants the woke crap. Yeah, you know, what I'll say with this game is, like, so when I played the game, and honestly, like, you can go back and watch my gameplay on Twitch. It's you know, it was like 2 broadcasts ago. Go back and you look at the game. The pronouns thing, they're not even really visible. Like, they're in the upper right corner of the screen, like where the character selection screen is. And I never noticed them until I actually like looked, and I was like, oh, I heard there's pronouns. And I like looked, oh, there they are in the corner. And every single character that I played was all like normal ones. And then, and actually Thor said it really good today. Pirate Software says I'm really good, or I saw one of his clips. The coloring of the character models was atrocious. I thought, I mean, there was too many colors, and I pulled that from him. There's too many colors in some of these character models, and the colors looked way too muted. Like they weren't vibrant colors. Like, you know how like Overwatch has this really, I mean, it's very cartoony, but they're bright and they just look really bright and really nice. Like they pop. These just had a very subdued, almost like, I don't even know if it was part of the art style, but it didn't look good. And there's too many colors and they didn't really go together. Anyways, that's kind of where it was. Mark says Shaq was coping and seething that nobody wanted to play his new hero shooter. I think that the game just it deserved more from Sony. It deserved more from Sony. Let's look real quick. So PlayStation shut down new game Concord 2 weeks after launch. PlayStation will be taking its new Firewalk developed live services game Concord offline this Friday and issuing refunds just 2 weeks after its August 23rd launch. When you really look at, August 23rd, we're not even 2 weeks. We're not even 2 weeks from that date. That's sad. The team-based first-person shooter game is reported to have drawn a historically small audience during its initial availability across PlayStation 5 and PC, with third-party based gaming data website SteamDB showing 30 current in-game players at the time of publication on Tuesday. At the peak in its short history, Concord had 697 players. It sucks, man. It's tragic because this game was supposed to be like PlayStation's game. Like this was supposed to be something to, like they were supposed to be working on and updating for years to come, and it didn't even get out of the starting blocks. Like they tripped right on their face. In Concord, which was largely being compared to popular multiplayer shooter Overwatch, players assemble a crew of free gunner space outlaws from the spacecraft North Star for online games between two teams of 5 players each. With so few people playing Concord, matchup availability became very difficult to come by during the gameplay. So this is something that I did not experience. I'll let you guys know, I never waited more than 30 to 45 seconds for a game to start. I played on PS5 with crossplay enabled, and I did not wait like at all. So I think the longest I waited was maybe a minute and a half, which I guess by today's standards is way too long, because people don't even sit through my 60-second YouTube shorts. Oh my God, why did it spend 5 seconds? Why am I not playing it? Concord fans, we've been listening closely to your. So this is the message that they issued to the players. King of the Players was woke as a franchise killer. Sony did it to themselves. Yeah. Concord fans, we've been listening closely to your feedback since the launch of Concord on PlayStation 5 and PC. I want to thank everyone who has joined the journey aboard the North Star. Firewalk Studios game director Ryan Ellis wrote in a blog post published by PlayStation Tuesday. Your support and the passionate community that has grown around the game has meant the world to us. However, while many qualities of the experience resonated with players, we also recognize that other aspects of the game and our initial launch didn't land the way we intended. Therefore, at this time, we have decided to take the game offline beginning September 6th, 2024, explore options, including those that will better reach our players. While we determine the best path ahead, Concord sales will cease immediately, and will begin to offer a full refund for all players who have purchased the game for PS5 or PC. The only better way I could have seen this going is if they I don't know how you do the peaceful transition of power here, in that I feel as if they could have maybe salvaged this, and maybe they still will, maybe they still won't. I'm caught between whether this was smart or not, because they they've essentially thrown this game in the trash, right? They've said, we're not supporting it right now, and we're closing the servers. No one can play it. So it makes me think that they are going to do something to improve the game, and then come back and release it as a free-to-play hero shooter. I don't think for a second that it's impossible for this game to succeed. But a lot of the damage has been done. They did not do nearly enough marketing for this game. They did not hype it up. Nobody really understood, other than that it was a hero shooter, what this was. There's no reason to really get excited about it. I know people are not really thrilled with Overwatch at the moment, and I played a little bit of Overwatch today, and the matchmaking seemed atrocious. I don't even know. It was rough. But a lot of these games, in similar ways, have gone the free-to-play model with battle pass and skins, all that stuff to unlock. And Concord had these things to some extent, but the functionality and the customization that they had now was bare bones. It's something they could have built on. So maybe they go back and they scrap the things that just made it kind of cringe. Again, the woke stuff aside, the game played well. So in the woke stuff that was around, I didn't really hear much dialogue that made me go, ugh, it was just, there's pronouns in the corner, there was purple hair and whatever, it was a fat bitch who was a healer. But there's always big characters, that. Again, that character happened to be an interesting support character. So, but we'll see. I think I don't know if we're going to see this game come back. It's very likely that Sony just writes this off as a loss and we never hear about it again. But I don't want to make it seem like this game was all bad and we should but there's a huge lesson to be learned here. These big studios, I don't know how much they really care about these games and about the people working on them. It's very likely that Sony saw the writing on the wall, knowing that what we have in this game is not going to sell. We're watching all these other ESG infused games that are falling flat on their face, and this is going to follow in the same way, and nobody knows about it. So, and the feedback they were getting from the beta was horrible. King says, oh, first impressions are everything in marketing, and they blew it. Oh, for sure. It took a long time for No Man's Sky to recover, and it's arguable that they never rebounded to the hype they initially had. They can't keep pandering and releasing beta products. Yeah, the issue there is the consumer, though. So the issue is that the consumer, us gamers, are constantly investing our time in games that are not done. They're half baked. And No Man's Sky was a good example of something that was, and I could be wrong. I thought it was an early access game. Again, I could be wrong here. And again, that's the problem. We are gamers, and largely streamers have done this too. We want to be a part of the very next best thing. A lot of times to say, hey, we played this game first. We want you to see us play this game. This is what we're doing. And because we're part of that culture now, because that's what a lot of streamers do, is they feature these early access games in order to get, early access to them, or, again, to help showcase these things. But then people buy into them early, and then we start apologizing. Well, it's early, like it's supposed to be like this, and they'll figure it out. What companies need to do, and I talked about this with one of my friends years ago. What companies need to do is go back to paying beta testers. Like a part of these AAA companies' budget for these games should be beta testers. We'll pay you to play our game for 25 hours or 40 hours. You give us notes. Blah, blah, blah. This is what you have to do. Try and break the game. Give us your notes. We'll take those and go back and run what we can. And then we'll go do another beta test. And we'll try and break the game again. You need to pay people like you used to test your game before you're releasing it to the public. Also, the trends only last like 2 to 4 years. Yeah, you're talking about like game genres being big. Yeah, disparity. Like, I mean, a lot of times, like FPS, like competitive FPS, like might be the only ones that really break the mold. Like they seem to be the perennial. They're always around. I don't think it's a coincidence that AAA gaming quality declined when they did away with QA. Oh, absolutely. But here's the thing, right? Like, why would you pay for something that you can get for free? Why would you pay for something that you can get for free? There's no reason to pay people to quality test your game when you can just throw it out there, put a price tag on it, make people pay you to play a broken game, and then you fix it along the way because, oh, well, we told them this wasn't done. Right? It's a problem with the industry, and the consumer is the biggest part of the problem because we have the power to not buy into these early access games. But the consumer is tired doing work for free. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I think we'll see them being tired when they stop. Like the best example I can give is something like DayZ. Like DayZ should have been dead years ago. Like to me, DayZ might be an anomaly because the standalone, because it almost seems like some like Arabian Prince was pumping money into that, keeping it going. But that game kept selling copies and they kept pushing it. People kept paying for a dog shit product, and now it still is a dog shit product. It's marginally better than what the mod was years ago, but even then, I don't like you'd be really hard to convince me. Dude, I'm very cautious about my hype with the DA Veilguard. It looks like they didn't do anything to upgrade the system from Dragon Age Veilguard, yeah. They didn't upgrade the system from Inquisition, and that's all political talking points about who made it aside. Yeah. Do can actually, I think I can pop this up so I can like have you guys on screen. Is it not working? Oh, there you go. Yeah. I also been telling folks is the problem with live service is not money, it's time. Time in a live service will convert to money, but there is too many options. There's lots. Yeah, you're 100%. 100%, dude. Yeah, most people's time is totally limited in this game, in games in general. Live service games, like we may have seen their peak in some regard because I think the people who are really into them are aging out of them. And I think, games like Destiny and like First Descendant and all that. We want them to be good, but I don't think that's what people want anymore. Like even the looter shooter side of it is gone. And maybe it's the looter shooter that I'm thinking of more so. Like live action games like they that encompasses quite a bit, because you're talking games that are offering that battle pass that people can keep coming back season after season, and oh, reset your rank and like rank up again and get these skins again, this limited edition, whatever. But I think but it still stands. I think they're aging out a bit from that model, and they don't have the time anymore. People have families, kids, wives, etc., and they're all growing up, and they can't spend the day doing that stuff. Even Warcraft, like I think World of Warcraft is in a similar place right now, where this latest expansion is great, and I haven't played through the whole thing, but I really want to. But they've totally revamped how WoW works in a lot of ways. Like it is an MMO, but you can play WoW now as a solo player. Like they've totally changed it. So like, I mean, Raid Finder's always been there, but that's like Raid Light, right? Like you can just go in there and do a wing of a raid and get some decent gear, but it's a Raid Finder gear, which is, it's not as good as regular raid gear. And then they have, mythic dungeons, which are your high tier group content for dungeons. And then the regular dungeons now are basically heroic and regular. And then you can set your dungeons to just a follower dungeon. And you can just follow NPCs through a dungeon to just play at your own whim and not be stuck behind players, or not be, cast aside because you don't have the right gear. Like even WoW now recognizes the need to pull in players they've aged out of the ability to spend 6 straight hours to do a raid, or like, oh, I don't have all these friends, or maybe I'm feeling a little bit antisocial and don't have like the ability to join a guild and do this stuff and hop in Discord, blah blah blah. So they're changing. Like it's probably one of the smartest moves they've made in a very long time. In a very long time. So, and we'll see how it works for him overall. But it's yeah, dude, it's crazy. It's fucking crazy. This week has been weird on news. This week has been really, really weird on news. I'll be honest. One of the things I thought about doing tonight was cranking up TikTok and maybe trying to hop in on a date. I was in one today. I was driving around and I thought, oh, I'm going to join this, and I am going to I'm going to really start some hell. I enjoy raid content. I don't enjoy the time investment to reward ratio. They totally fixed that stuff though. Like so even in WoW now, King, they have what are called delves. So they're solo areas, and you get a follower, an NPC follower, which you level up. There's like 50 levels they can gain, and I think there's like 15 levels of the delve, like difficulty, like so modifiers, and then you can get loot that way. There's lots of loot just scattered around the world. Like the collectathon in WoW is much more approachable now than it's ever been, and you get flying right away in this expansion. You don't have to like grind for 50 hours to unlock flying in the zone and rep grind forever. Like it's very, very approachable. And if you ever want to play, let me know, because I will for sure. I need to get on it. Go on it. What else has been happening? Is there anything? I mean, I said, if you guys ever want to like give me some stuff to talk about, there's a spot in Discord that you guys can drop in recommendations for me to talk about, because sometimes I'm just hurting for things to discuss. Looking at my bookmarks for this week. Oh, man. There is a couple of things that popped up. I don't know. So there's a bunch of stuff surrounding, was it Benny Johnson, Lauren Chen, Tim Pool, talking about they're paid by some Russian asset or something, or like they were paid by some Russian, a lot of money. Is there any truth to that, or is that some like left-wing propaganda that's being pushed? It was Lauren Chen alone. So what did she do? So I see. Let me just bring this. Let me bring this tweet up. This tweet that I see. Lauren Chen is in big trouble. According to the DOJ, she and her husband worked with the Russian government to launder sanctions-busting money into her media company, Tenet, to promote Moscow's interest in the U.S. So how are they putting this on Tim and Benny then? Like that's what I'm wondering. So let's see. Founder 1 and Founder 2 contracted with Commentator 1 and Commentator 2 to produce videos using Commentator 1's and Commentator 2's own names and leveraging their existing audiences for license and publication by U.S. company Kalashnikov, Afanasyeeva. Founder 1 and Founder 2 worked together to mask U.S. company 1's true source of funding, falsely portraying to Commentator 1 and Commentator 2 that U.S. company 1 was sponsored by a private investor named Edward Gregorian. In truth and in fact, Gregorian was a fictional persona. For example, during contract negotiations, Commentator 1 requested that Founder 1 provide a profile or article on Edward Gregorian. In response, Founder 1 sent Commentator 1 a one-page profile provided to Founder 1 by another fictional persona purporting to represent Edward Gregorian, falsely describing Edward Gregorian as an accomplished finance. She was the front for a Russian propaganda machine and was paid to get other alt-right commentators involved. Apparently, she knowingly accepted and facilitated the exchange of monies to their media company. Holy shit. They're involved to a degree, but they are not the masterminds. They didn't know shit. They are essentially the victims because they were affiliated in an unknowing capacity. Yeah, that sucks, man. What's up, Darkopter? That's interesting because now that, like, it's one of those things I feel like Tim, like, say what you want about Tim. I think a lot of times he can be slimy about stuff, but people will use this as a way to try and smear him as the Russian asset that they really think he is, because, you know, Lauren Chen's been on his show several times. Yeah, man. Holy shit. I'm surprised Ian Miles Chungus isn't involved. Oh, bro, for real. She has essentially committed espionage and she should face the severe consequences. She's a Russian asset and she should go down for it. Yeah, I guess we'll see, like, whatever the legal proceedings are. Yeah, this is one of those things when it comes to, like, foreign governments and listen, I would like to know more about, like, what is happening here. Because it's I would like to know more of the whole legal thing. I mean, you guys gave it to me in a nutshell, but just got back from a concert. What y'all doing? We're just talking about news and shit. Has anyone listened to? It's 3.5 hours long, but I did post about it earlier today. The Chris Williamson and Eric Weinstein interview. If you haven't checked it out, you should for sure check it out. I actually put a bunch of timestamps, and I really wanted to go and like I wanted to talk about it because they say a lot of really good things. There's a couple of really good things right in the beginning, and then there's some stuff that they talk about towards the end that was really like spot on. Her husband and I don't feel sorry for that kid of hers. Her kid's not going to have a relationship with her parents, and that's all of them, really. Oh, that's a good question. Let me see if I can pull up. See if I can pull this up. Oh, I don't know. We'll see if this will work. For some reason, my here it is.
Holiday in quite a while.
Well, my first holiday of, let's say, 3 weeks or more in quite a while.
How was that?
Astounding. Really very good to see what's going on in the rest of the world at this particular moment.
So, is this the right one? Nope, this is not the right one. I saw Gundam's take on Dustborn. Holy moly, I see why many are going to retro games. Oh, I was going to say that, Darkhopter. Thank you for reminding me. If we're rolling back real quick to, finishing the thought on games in general, these what needs to happen is these AAA games need to take a page out of these indie companies' playbook at this point and realize this is how you make a game. This is what people want. They just want a fun game loop. They want a fun little story. They don't want all this shit in it. They're trying to move away from the real world. Like that is why you go into these games, not to have the real world come into you. And there's nothing wrong with putting some dose of reality into your games, but people go into games to escape reality, not to follow it, if that makes sense. Is this the interview? I think this is the one.
When we spoke at the start of the year, I said it was way too close to November to switch anybody out. Turns out that I was wrong.
Beginner's luck.
You said, what are the odds that Joe Biden has a debilitating event between now and November, including death? So he runs a 1 in 20 chance of dying in any given year or above, that I don't think you know whether he's even going to make it to November.
I really like Chris Williamson and how he does his interviews. I think he's a good guy. He does his best to hold a good middle ground. There is a awesome part of this whole thing that I said I wrote a couple of timestamps down that I just wanted to sort of bring to light and comment on, and you guys can give me your thoughts on it too. Hopefully they line up with the Spotify one. But there's a lot of cool. So I had posed this question. The first part is basically about, will Trump be allowed to become president this year? I don't really think so. And I sort of gathered that from Eric in this too. So, I don't know. Let's take a look again. I know Eric's an acquired taste, and he's kind of hard to listen to. I am going to speed this up a little bit so it's not so slow.
Debilitating event could have been a debilitating public event.
I purposely left it vague, and I didn't say the other part of it, which I now feel comfortable saying, which is I don't know whether Donald Trump will be allowed to become president.
What do you mean by that?
Yo, John Platt, what's going on, man? Thanks for joining.
I think that there's a remarkable story, and we're in a funny game, which is, are we allowed to say what that story is? Because to say it, to analyze it, to name it, is to bring it into view. I think we don't understand why the censorship is behaving the way it